Oh, well, hello. I didn't see you there. Oh, hi. My name's Anthony, and I'm the president of Trinity University Players, or TUPS, here at Trinity University. And I'm going to be taking you on a bit of a virtual tour of our space here at Trinity University Theater, what we call Ruth Taylor Theater Building. Well, don't just sit there. Come on, let's go! Our first stop on this virtual tour is the Steeren Theater. Come on inside. And hey, even though we're virtual, still no food or drinks in the theater. This is the Steeren, the theater space for us here at Trinity and where we perform our main stages. But you can't get a super great look of it from up here, so what do you say we get a better look at it? Wow! Thanks, editing! Now, here we are on the stage of the Steeren. Here is where our students perform their main stages. Now, to talk to you a little bit more about the main stages here at Trinity is senior Adia Gaston Puntiki.
Hi, my name is Adia Gaston Puntiki. I am a psychology major with a theater minor, and I'm a senior. So a main stage is a show that is directed by a faculty member. At Trinity, we have 2 every semester, and it depends. Sometimes they're in the Steeren, which is our big theater, and other times they're in our smaller theater. So at Trinity, I have been in a lot of different shows. My favorites have been Into the Woods, Vampire Lesbians of Sodom. So Edwin Drood was this huge musical. We had a big cast, and as always, our technical aspects were just amazing. I had a really good time. It was great because we had someone fly in who was a choreographer, so we got to really learn how to dance, and an amazing experience. I think that musicals at Trinity are just really great because our tech is so on point, and so all of our shows look just so beautiful. And then, you added in music with Dr. Warman and added in choreography and acting, and I had just such a fun time getting to know everyone and just putting on that wacky show. I loved it. Working on a main stage is hard. So it's usually 7 to 11, but I think that it really focuses you, actually. I love it. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort, but being in a main stage is just so fulfilling. So a guest artist is someone that the university brings in, and we get one every year. So last year it was Daniel Gold, who was a choreographer and performer. And it was really cool to work with him because he is in the industry. He's on tour, he's been in all of these shows, and so he was really able to show us what being in the industry looks like. Working with a guest artist is really interesting because Trinity usually finds people who have a very unique view on the industry that you don't really get from your professors who are teaching. So I think that working with people who are in the industry is it's an experience that you can't get anywhere else. The really wonderful thing about college theater in general is we're not just trying to put butts in seats. So we don't have to do bottom line decision making. We don't have to do traditional shows. So the really cool thing about college theater is you get to do experimental shows. Cities of Memory happened in this year, actually, where the cast members came together and created a script and created a show. So the fact that we don't really need to focus on this kind of bottom line decision making makes Trinity Theater and university theater in general really special. So being able to not only do a show like Edwin Drood, which was, a big spectacle musical, I've also done, Mr. Burns, and I know people who have done devised pieces. So it's really great to be able to experiment with different types of theater that you wouldn't really be able to experiment outside of Trinity. All right, so for this season, we have 4 shows, which is typically what we do at Trinity, 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. Our first is Gaia Zero, which is a devised piece about COVID-19 directed by Dr. Persa Giacomo. So in that show, it will be up to the cast to create a script, which is really exciting. And our next show is Tartuffe, directed by Dr. Connolly. And that show was previously already cast last semester, and we were unfortunately unable to do it because of COVID-19. I am personally so excited for this one. I'm in it, and I had never acted in a rhyme scheme before, and Moliere writes in a rhyme scheme, so it's a very new kind of acting. Our third show in the spring is going to be 25th Annual Putnam Spelling Bee, directed by Dr. Stith. So I'm really excited for that. And our final one is The Anthropocene, directed by Dr. Joseph. And in that show, our guest artists are actually writing the script as of now, and it's going to be a world premiere, which is so exciting. So the advice that I would give to first years now, especially during COVID, is reach out to us. So many of us really want to talk to you, and we want to get to know you. And we know that starting college during COVID-19 is going to be really hard, but know that we're here to support you. Even, if you're not auditioning for a main stage or want to do student shows, you're a part of our community. So come in. We are not as scary as we look. Hopefully we don't look scary. But definitely reach out, make your communities, and know that we're there to support you.
Thanks, Sadia. And while we can't all physically be here in this theater right now, rest assured that once we can get back to normal and using this space again, this theater is going to feel like your home. Now, come on, let's head to the next stop on our tour. Well, hey there, fellow youths! I see you found our next stop on the virtual tour. Come on in, and welcome to the Actors Studio. This is a very versatile space. Here, sometimes we teach classes in here, people rehearse in here, hang out in here, and, most importantly to me, this is the space in which TUPS has its meetings. But don't just listen to me. Hear some more about this space and TUPS from Junior Ren Ramos.
Hello, my name is Ren Ramos. I'm a junior here at Trinity. I'm a theater and communication major, classic combination. Before I talk a little bit more about what TUPS does, I should probably explain what TUPS is. TUPS stands for Trinity University Players, made up of the student writers, directors, actors, and technical producers who work to make theater here on campus. Whenever you talk about TUPS, you really need to talk about the community. So what TUPS does is we provide opportunities for anybody who's interested in theater to be able to do it. So if you want to write a show, if you want to act in a show, if you want to direct a show, if you want to help produce a show. But also whenever we make a production, we're making it for the greater Trinity campus, that they also, like the students, have something that they can, relate to. So it's like written by students or it's directed by students. We also really emphasize being family, because whenever you're doing theater, you're really close with other people and you get to know them, whether it's through Zoom, you're around people. And it's how I've made some of the closest people in my life has been through TUPS. So we also do like social activities where we'll like meet up on Zoom and we'll be like, oh, hey, how's everybody doing? We'll have little open mic nights where you can bring like a monologue that you want to show everyone, or you want to sing a musical theater piece or anything like that. A couple of the shows that we do annually across the academic semester include FIPOT, which stands for First Years Putting on Theater. And then we also have the Shadowcast production of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then in the spring, we go into Miscast and 24-Hour Play Festival. Aside from those shows, we kind of wait for students to come up to us and be like, oh, this is a very interesting show that I think we should direct. And then from there, we're like, okay, go get a cast, and then we'll make the show happen. We'll provide you the support, the advice. You don't have to have any experience prior before. You just have to have a show that you want to put on. One of my biggest regrets, I think, in terms of Tufts was just that I didn't join earlier. I joined for the first time in October whenever the Rocky Horror Picture Show was coming up. It's a shadow cast. So Rocky Horror Picture Show is a movie. And so what we do for a shadow cast is we put it on the wall, and all of the students they have a role, and then they stage it as it's also being projected along the wall. It's a lot of fun. You get to wear corsets, dress up, and try and be this weird, eccentric character. And trust me, after I went through that experience, I was like, this theater thing, I think this is it. I think this is the money. And I was still a baby, and I didn't know I was going to be a theater major yet. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified to do this. I've never acted in high school, and I don't know if it's too big of a time commitment. I think that's the biggest misconception, because Tufts is made to be accommodating for students. So when I went in, it was 3 days a week where we met for 1 hour each night, and it worked around our schedules, and it was so easy and very, very fun. And so by the end of that semester, after I had done Rocky, I was just I want more. I want to do more. And I just kept acting in shows, and eventually I got to help direct shows and write shows, and Tufts really acts however you want to do theater. And now I'm a theater major, so that's the end of that story.
Thanks, Rin. Now, if you want to hear more about Tufts and the Tufts shows and all the fun events that we do, Tufts is holding a late night social tonight at 10 p.m. It is grown-up hours. You are not in high school anymore. Now, let's continue this tour by going to the magical, mythical place called the Attic Theater. Come on. Welcome to the Attic Theater. The attic here is a space for both departmental shows as well as student-directed shows, and we have classes up in here. In fact, this space is where I took my intro to acting class, and I did my final scene with the person you're about to hear from next. Now, to talk a little bit more about this space and his experience in this space is sophomore Andrew Walker.
My name is Andrew Walker. I am planning on double majoring in sociology and poli-sci. I think that a lot of people, and I definitely had this conception too when I started coming into college, is that high school is when you can do it all, and then college is when you specialize, and then you just focus down all your hobbies into one or two. And Trinity doesn't function that way, which I was really pleased about, is that I can continue to be a sociology and poli-sci major and continue to focus my time and energy on that while also still being able to do what I love, which is theater. If you are not planning on majoring in theater, if you're just thinking about it because you think it sounds fun, or you have no experience with theater and you just kind of want to see it and try it out, this is a perfect opportunity. Going into it, it's honestly, most of those, the two classes I have experienced were less overwhelming than some of the other classes I was taking. So it was honestly kind of a break. And it was one of the few classes that I constantly looked forward to. Even, when we went online, I would look forward to Dr. Stith's class. We were doing in acting 1 was kind of preparing ourselves for, or trying to reach into our characters a lot. And for that, it was a lot of preparation for our final scenes of the semester. But I was also able to take those exact same approaches of learning how to build your character and learning how it feels to be in your character and how they walk and how they talk, all those kinds of things, and apply that to my character in the musical as well, which I think made it much more deep. And playing Bazard was potentially the best role I've ever had in a musical before. It was phenomenal. Drood was such a fun show. and I really like my part in it, and I really like that I was able to just connect it with people. It is a big time commitment. You know that your semester is going to be really overwhelming. I would still recommend, if you're worried about it, you can make it work. You can totally make it work. Don't let, like being afraid of like, oh, it's my first semester, I don't know if I should audition. Don't let that affect you. You can totally make it work. It's totally doable. But like, if you know that this semester is already going to be hard on you, if you know that you have other things that you're doing, like, keep those things in mind when you choose to audition, because they can be super overwhelming, but it's totally rewarding and 100% worth it if you have the time to do it. The time commitment for student shows are much less. It varies from student show to student show. When you go into the main stage, you are expected to be in professional capacity, and be like if you were working in a professional show. When you're in a student show, it is much more friendly, like hands-on. Let's just talk and get to know each other for a little while. I love that. I think that if you are going to be involved with theater and Trinity, you should do both, because doing main stages are super rewarding. You get to see this amazing finished work. Same thing with student shows, but student shows also give you this really like deep connection with your director and your cast. Just as you guys are spending time together and goofing off for a couple hours, really, really fun. Five Pot especially, like that's how I got to know most of the people who I then spent time with for the rest of the semester, and how I made connections with people. So highly recommend that as well. Yeah, so Miscast is taking basically cabaret, where you take a bunch of theater songs and then you cast people in these theater songs that would never be able to perform them or would ever perform them in real life. I don't remember my role's name because it was only like 2 weeks and I was really excited, but I was the main character from Putnam County Showing, like the I Love You song or something. And it was a ton of fun, really just being able to be in a part that you would never play, and like doing it with a bunch of other people who are playing parts that never is really funny, especially if you like know the people around you, and you know that they would never play this, and you know that they're playing like complete opposite of themselves. Is really interesting and really fun to do. And it's just another one of those student shows where you like are able to spend a lot of time with people, and it's not super stressful, and you're just singing a bunch of songs and nerding out over theater. When I came last year, I was like super self-conscious and thought that all the theater people were like super cool, and I was afraid to talk to them. I was even afraid to talk to a lot of the first years, which is dumb. Don't do that. Don't be like me, because everybody here is super accepting. So come talk to me and come talk to everybody else.
Now, let's keep this tour going by going to my favorite place in this entire building, the Cafe Theater. Here we are on the bottom level of RTT, the Cafe Theater. Now, I do have to warn you, the theater space is not set up as it usually is. It's currently set up for classroom and learning. But I promise you this cafe space is known for its wacky, wild, and fun theater performances. Come on! Here we are, the Cafe Theater. Here is a place where we have acting classes down in here. This is where we do all of our student improv, Buddy Buddy, and FTO. Down in this space, we have Phi Pot down here. And now to talk to you about all of the many uses of this space is one of our very own sophomore, Megan McGuire.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan. I am a sophomore, a poli-sci major in the recruitment and retention officer of TUPS, the cabaret at Trinity University. It's a monthly tradition where it's basically just a super fun, casual, open mic night that's open to every student on campus. You do not have to be a major. You don't even have to be a TUPS member. As long as you have something to share, then you can come up on originally the cafe stage. We've modified it where we can do Zoom cabarets where anyone can share anything. We've had monologues, we've had people read fan fiction, we've done improv, we've had people play instruments, we've had TikTok dances, everything. It's super fun, and I'm glad we were able to start this tradition, and we're going to keep doing that tradition at Trinity. My other primary responsibility, which is the reason that I was so excited to become the recruitment and retention officer of TUPS, Phi Pot is essentially an opportunity for the first years to get to meet and connect with some of the older members of TUPS. So pairs of two, there's a writer and a director of TUPS members, like previously existing TUPS members, write and direct a short little fun show for the freshmen to perform for everyone on campus. It's an excellent way to make friends on campus. It's how I made some of my closest friends. It was honestly, I think it's my favorite show that I've ever done. It was called The Last Gay Vampire of Texas. It was written by one of my closest friends, directed by another one of my closest friends, and I performed it with a cast that is now some of my closest friends. It was an incredible way to meet people on campus. It was a super fun tradition that I'm glad that I got to participate in, and I'm glad that I'm going to help produce this year. I did that. I was also in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is a really fun experience. Trinity was my first experience with Rocky Horror, and it was a great one at that. I had a great time playing Columbia. It was fun to dance and sing. It was an awesome Halloween tradition. There was also the 24-hour play festival, which we modified to be online on Zoom, which was incredible. Props to the producers of that for being able to figure out doing a Zoom show within a month. Student shows are a really fun, casual way to do theater. TUPS is really unique in that it gives students an opportunity to write and direct their own shows that wouldn't ordinarily be available. My student shows have been, the ones that I've performed in, have been some of my favorite experiences on campus. I was in a student written and directed show called The Ghost of Madame Sneen, which is a sequel to a show that was written for the 24-hour play festival the year previously. It was a really fun and goofy experience. We were all snails. It was a good, fun time. We managed to throw the show together in a week, which is incredible. Took lots of hard work, but even then, it was still super fun and casual, and it was a great way to get closer to my friends. I just love student shows. I think that having student-directed shows really gives students the opportunity to learn what it's like to direct and write shows. It shouldn't be something that we exclude people from, and I think that by giving people the opportunity to write and direct, it's just another great opportunity for students to experience theater in so many different ways, because theater isn't just performing, it is writing and directing and doing technical work. So I love the Cafe Theater so much. It really is my favorite place to be on campus. It's everything. All my memories there are so warm and comfortable and happy from just the fun experiences and memories and things that I've shared there. It's where I've gotten to know all my closest friends, and I hope that y'all will get to experience it in the same way. Pod auditions are going to be tomorrow, Tuesday the 18th at 8 p.m. So hopefully I'll see y'all there.
Thanks, Megan. Now, we're about to head to our final stop on this magical tour. We're going upstairs to the lobby. Come on. And here we are. The final stop on our tour, the lobby. This is one of the most important spaces in the entire theater because it's the entrance and the hub of Trinity Theater. This is where everyone comes to chill and hang out. Now, to talk to you a little bit more about the lobby is a very, very special guest, Junior Anthony Tresca.
Hi, I'm Anthony Tresca. I am a junior. I am a political science major, and I am the current Trinity University Players president. Well, the lobby in the theater building is the first thing that you encounter when you walk into the theater space, and it is always crawling, and I do sometimes literally mean crawling, with theater kids. The community aspect of theater, and specifically with TUPS, has been one that's been really important to me at Trinity. I, like probably so many of you out there watching this video, didn't know anybody before coming to Trinity. It was just kind of, when I first arrived here, I was alone and I didn't really have anyone to turn to. But that didn't last long, not after I went to the theater rally, and then I just met all of these really cool theater people. And the lobby, and particularly the Ruth Taylor Theater Building as a whole, is just a really good encapsulation of that community and always having those tight friends who you can rely on and just go back to whenever you need them. 24-hour Play Festival is kind of what the name implies. You all of these theater people get together. They have 24 hours, and they are going to write, direct, and then put on a play in 24 hours. And it is a wild experience. It is one that is entirely reliant on you just chugging an obscene amount of coffee and energy drinks and just like powering through it. But it is a really, really fun activity. Just it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Sneen started during 24-hour play festival my freshman year. It started because we drastically misinterpreted a script note from the writer, Anna. We got this script and it included a planet where people ate snails on it. And there was a snail queen, Madame Sneen. And so because it was so early in the morning when we started the rehearsal process, I was just like, they're all snails. And everyone in our cast was just like, yeah, they are all snails. And so we just went with it and staged the whole show that way. But then we talked to the writer later, and apparently nobody was supposed to be snails. So the whole thing just kind of happened because we just like indulged ourselves and just really went crazy, which was always fun. And so I honestly, after we did it at 24-hour play festival, I thought that was going to be the end of it. It was a fun character. It was a really fun show to get to do. But I was like, one and done, we're done. But then Anna was like, we should do a sequel, a sneakquel, if you will. And I was gun-ho for it. I was like, absolutely, let's do this. And because it's just such a fun character, such a silly, silly world. And everyone seemed really excited to do it. I ended up coming back and acting in it and again, but also directing and helping to do some of the writing on that show. And I think it was just a lot of fun to just get to come back and do it and just be silly. That's what I love so much about those shows, is just everyone getting to be a little silly and weird and blow off some steam and then have some fun as snails. Continuing 24-hour play festival as a virtual performance, I thought that it was really, really interesting to get to not only participate myself, but also see how others were able to take some of the pitfalls of Zoom, but turn them into really interesting ways and use like some things that are kind of weird and funky about Zoom in really interesting ways to benefit the theater that they were doing. I'm kind of happy that we're getting to experiment and try virtual theater. It's something that is more accessible to a larger number of people, because think about it, you can't always have everyone show up to a fixed time and place to see your live show. But if your show is up virtually, you can share that to your parents who are halfway across the world. You can share it to your old friends. It just is a lot more accessible to people, which is a huge plus. And so I'm really glad that people are maybe going to get to share the theater and the things that they're doing here at Trinity with more people. And so I just think that it's important to make sure that we keep doing this and we keep bringing theater, because just because the world is crazy and COVID has caused a lot of our lives to stop does not mean that theater has to or should stop. My FIPOT show was super, super important to me, and it holds a very, very special place in my heart. I was a part of this really tight-knit FIPOT cast. They were kind of my director and writer, and then my two castmates who I was in were kind of like my first friends here at Trinity. They were my introduction to Trinity and the Trinity community, specifically the Trinity theater community. And it was a really, really fun time. And so it's just kind of this really beautiful, magical experience. And it's honestly one of my favorite things I have ever done at Trinity. One of my favorite things I've done with Trinity Theater. It was just, truly, I cannot stress enough how much I loved FIPOT and how big of an impact FIPOT had on me. I assume if you are here at this theater rally, you probably like theater, and FIPOT just gives you a way to get to do some theater. And honestly, let's face it, with what's happening at Trinity now, you guys are probably going to be a little bit bored just sitting in your dorm this whole time, so you might as well just try Phi Pot out and just have some fun with theater. And one last very, very important thing for everyone out there. I will see you all tonight at the TUPS social at 10 p.m. because this is college now. We are old and we can stay up as late as we want to. So I'll see you guys at 10 p.m. and bye for now. So that's all for me. So now I'm going to pass it off to the short king himself, Anthony T.
Wow, that guy sure is knowledgeable. Now, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our tour, but I just want to thank you so very much for allowing me to guide you around this space, and I want to take this moment to remind you of a few very important TUPS dates. As you just heard me finish saying, we have our social tonight at 10 p.m., which you do not want to miss. And then tomorrow, August 18th, we have Phi Pot auditions at 8 p.m. And Phi Pot is so crucial and so much fun, so you're going to want to be there. 8 p.m., there's no questions. You're going to be there. And then next Monday, August 24th at 5:30 p.m., we have our very, very first TUPS meeting, which we're going to be giving out a lot of very fun, exciting, and important information. 3 dates you do not want to miss. Thank you again, and stay safe, and have a good day. Bye-bye.